Hello and welcome to the Three Championship Drive podcast, hosted by me, Lance Caporossi. Anyways, I might be going to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I'm honestly like super excited because I've wanted to go for such a long time, just have never really the opportunity has never presented itself for me to go. But my birthday is coming up, and my wife was asking me, like, well, what's something that you want or want to do? And she's like, well, how about you go to the Basketball Hall of Fame? And I was like, if I'm going to travel like out of state, I'd rather go with the family just to, so we can all go experience something. But she made a good point. She's like, look, you're not going to be able to enjoy the Hall of Fame if we're there like you want to. She's like, I don't want to rush you. She's like, if we're in Massachusetts, like I want to go to Rhode Island. I want to go visit some friends and everything, and I don't want to put that burden on you. And I'm like, man, you don't want to, dude. It's really nice of you. So she's like, look, I'll look up flights. We'll look up hotels, and we'll get this thing going. So right now, it's tentatively set that I will go to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and like just even thinking about it, like my heart's just beating extra fast because I've always wanted to go. Like as much as I love the Pistons, I just love the history of basketball and everything around it. Like I truly just love this game, and so it's fun to I don't know maybe I don't know. I'm hoping I'm not building it up too much in my mind where I'm let down when I get there. But like I seriously just cannot wait to finally be able to set foot in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I've often wondered too, like when I was younger, I used to think they should definitely have an NBA Hall of Fame. But I love the concept of the Basketball Hall of Fame. I love that it encompasses the entire journey for a player. So it could be, if you're an exceptional high school player, it can bring in your high school, your college, and then your pro resume. I mean, they even have high school coaches in the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's incredible, and just people that have influenced the game or pioneered it in some way. It's it would be like a dream job to work there. And I mean, it would be cool to be able to give like I don't even know if they do tour guides there, but it would be cool if you could be the voice of the Basketball Hall of Fame when people come in and you're touring them around, you're talking about the players, you just get to share your knowledge and your opinions with them. That to me would just be the coolest thing and probably the coolest job. It'd be right up there with working at a movie theater when you retired. In my opinion, those are the two best jobs: Basketball Hall of Fame and working at a movie theater, in my opinion. Anyways, let's get into this. We got a lot. So the Detroit Pistons will play the Boston Celtics October 20th at 3 p.m. So this is the opening day of the NBA season. This is the first game of the season. Boston and Detroit, they will be playing over in Europe. So 3 p.m. to them. So 3 p.m. to us is like prime time for Europe, which if you're trying to grow the game globally, okay, I get it. Give them a prime time game. But like, dude, this is I don't know when I'll get to see the Pistons start the season on opening day like this. So for me, this is kind of a bigger moment. And to have it at 3 p.m. when I believe this is a Tuesday, so I will be at the barbershop. I mean, it's a chill job. I can just have my phone out watching it, but I don't want to watch the first game on my phone. I'd rather either be at the game or I'd rather be at my house on my couch, with like either a nice pizza or some tacos. Like that's what I want to be. That's how I want to be able to enjoy opening day of the NBA season. I also hate calling it opening day. That feels like just a baseball thing. I figured there should be something else for the NBA. Also, I think the NBA season should start on Christmas. Don't ask me why. No, actually, you can ask me why. You can feel free to ask me why in your car. I feel like then you're not competing really with the NFL for so long. You're getting your own start time. Hockey's already going on at that point. I think that would probably be like closer to the middle point of the hockey season where maybe things aren't as exciting. I don't know. I don't follow hockey. I just think Christmas Day, that would be great. That would be the first day of the season. That's what I would like. They could have their own time during the year where it's just basketball and they could be the center of attention. That's what I really think they're going for. And I think the NBA, they have a little identity issue. I think they are the NFL where we want 3 days of what's the schedule going to be like. Here's Christmas Day. Here's opening day. Here's the rest of the season. I just rather have it all on one day. I don't understand it. I don't understand having the draft on 2 days. It makes sense for the NFL because you have so many rounds and so many picks. But in the NBA, it's 2. If you're going to stick with the 2-day draft coverage for the NBA, I would say just do the lottery picks on day 1 through 14, and then do the rest of the picks on day 2. But also have great coverage of it. Could you imagine if you're one of the players that is drafted on, you would feel like being drafted if you were one of the 14 picks and you had your own day for that, you would feel incredibly special, probably even more than you do just being drafted to the NBA. But I hate that the NBA is just rolling it out this way. It reminds me of when they were doing the award show like a month after the NBA season ended. Like, we're talking not just NBA season, the NBA playoffs ended as well. And they did they did this one time where they did an award show for the regular season MVP and everything. It was a disaster. I hated it. It just seems it doesn't need to be complicated, and they don't need to compete with the NFL. Just be your own thing. People love you. One more thing. The Pistons didn't get a Christmas Day game. This blows my mind because the last team to have the number 1 seed that didn't get a Christmas Day game was OKC, and I believe 2024-25. They didn't get a Christmas Day game after being the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. I would have loved to see them play Cleveland? No, Orlando. That's who I would have loved to see them play on Christmas Day, was Orlando. I think that's a good matchup. I like the matchup with Boston for the first day of the regular season because the admins of the Pistons and the Celtics were kind of going at each other with crossover videos and photos to embarrass Tatum, Cade, and Ausar. Like, I really enjoyed it. I hope there's a rivalry budding between Detroit and Boston. But I also love that first round matchup with Orlando. And it would be fun to see that again on Christmas Day. But we're not going to get it. But we do get first day of the regular season at 3 p.m. It's going to be interesting this season. So Ausar Thompson, I guess there are people in the organization that look at Ausar Thompson as the second best player and the second most important player, even over Jalen Duren, which to this I'm not surprised by. I do think he is the second best player or the second most important player on the Pistons with everything that he brings to the table. So it doesn't surprise me that people in the organization also believe that. Like, I don't think Ausar is a jump shot away or a three-point shot away from being a top 15 player. I just think if he can find some consistency on offense, he could probably be a top 15 player in the league. And that's why he's the second most important player. Because even if the offense doesn't develop, like if he still doesn't have a consistent jumper, still has major holes in his offensive game, maybe the dribble still stays loose, but he still brings what he brings every night on offense. He's still more important than Duren for what he brings on defense, for how good he is on that side of the ball. Like, even though Ausar may struggle on offense, he still has incredibly high basketball IQ. Like, he's still somehow finding success in the NBA with a poor offensive game. He's a very smart player. I just think I agree with the organization. I agree with what they are saying about Ausar Thompson. Like, to me, if you thought differently, I would look at you funny, because I don't know what you see in Duren to give him the title as second most important and second best player on the Detroit Pistons, when so much of his offense is generated by Cade Cunningham and the other guys setting him up. You can't tell me with a straight face, look me in the eye, and tell me that Jalen Duren is the second best player on the Pistons. He's a very talented player. He's a very athletic player, but he is very limited in what he can do. Now, things can change. He can develop and take that next step offensively. Don't know if he will. That is a possibility. Or maybe he does become the second most important player. but his offense isn't that good to give him that title. His defense is certainly not there. And the way he played in the playoffs really suggests he is a player that can be replaced. So that's kind of where we're at. You can't tell me differently. Like I would take if we're lining them up, and you say Cade's off the table, you can't take him. Who else are you taking off this team? My answer immediately is Ausar Thompson, because I can sit here and say, you know what? There's a real world possibility where he can be the most talented player on my team, the most gifted athletically. He can be that. He may not be my best player on offense, but he could still be the best player on my team, and I could win with him because he's that good defensively. He's that smart of a basketball player, and he can still do some things offensively where you're like, all right, we can't completely stay away from him and not defend him. Like, he can still do some things. You just want more consistency to be built. But with Jalen Duren, I would gladly let you take him because I don't think it would go well if he had his own team. I don't think it would go immensely well if you were to say, hey, we're going to trade Cade and the Pistons are now Ausar's team. It probably wouldn't work that way. But what I'm getting at is between the two, you can look at Jalen Duren and you can say, yeah, we can make him the quote-unquote franchise player, but we're probably looking at 34 to 36 wins a year. Maybe we sniff the playoffs a few times during his tenure, but more likely we're going to be drafting in basketball purgatory. But with Ausar, you're like, you know what? Maybe he can't be our franchise player on offense, but if we get some good pieces around him, he can be the best player. Like, if we get 4 out and we allow him just to do his thing, and then we allow him to be that great defensive player, yeah, you can win with that. That's why I would take Ausar if you let me have him in that hypothetical draft if Cade is not available. But speaking of Jalen Duren, there was a report that this comes from Brian Windhorst. And basically what he's saying is that if the Pistons opened up the door for a sign and trade, more teams would call about Jalen Duren because there are a number of teams that are actually interested in trading for his services. But the Pistons have said, no, he's our center. We want him in Detroit. We want to do whatever we can to bring him back. But my thing is, this is kind of dumb of Trajan Langdon. It's not even kind of. It is dumb by Trajan Langdon. The relationship between him and Jalen Duren is fractured, at least at best. We can say that. I believe it's fractured. And I think there's a real possibility that the two can't move forward and that a change of scenery will probably have to come for Jalen Duren. I think playing for the qualifying offer is dumb as well. But Trajan not exploring sign and trades, him not taking calls, even though this relationship is up in limbo, and it probably can't, and I don't think it will get sorted out. I think someone is leaving that room with a bad taste in their mouth. There's probably no coming back from it. So exploring the sign and trades or potentially finding a replacement, which, Daniel Gafford, he's reportedly of being shopped around by the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe you can get on that. Maybe you have to bring in another team. I don't know. Maybe you agree to the contract and Jalen Duren says, okay, I agree to go to Dallas. Let me play with Cooper Flagg. That's a possibility. I say it's probably easier to find Jalen Duren's replacement than it is to repair the relationship with Jalen Duren. I think that is another possibility between these two parties, and it kind of bugs me. It bugs me more from Trajan's side. Like, Jalen Duren's 22. He's just trying to make as much money as he possibly can. I'm not going to be mad at him for that. I'm more mad at him just for not recognizing that you're not worth that entire max, even though you did accomplish the All-NBA team and you made the All-Star game and you did improve offensively. I'll give him all of that. But still, you have to see the writing on the wall. Poor playoff performance. That's going to bring your value down. But I'm more mad with Trajan Langdon just for not exploring it because you have a disgruntled player. He hasn't signed yet. The regular season is right around the corner. You have to figure things out. And more importantly, you are on Cade's timeline. Like, you have to put a team around him, because he very well could say, like, I see what they're doing with Jalen Duren. They're not making any moves. When my contract comes up, maybe I'll explore free agency. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but that is a real possibility. And those are the three things that's one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about with this team, is you are on his timeline. And not to mention, having this all held up with Jalen Duren is probably holding up the negotiation process with Ausar Thompson. And he has an extension that he'll be extension eligible here soon. And if you can get him under contract before he potentially blossoms into a very good offensive player, you want to get that contract done before that happens. Because if you can get him at like 35 a year and he becomes a 14, 15 points per game scorer and keeps that level of defense, you're looking at a guy that's probably supposed to be making closer to 50. So let's try to get this deal done with Ausar Thompson, just so we can save a little bit of money and get a little bargain here in Detroit. But yeah, I'm just mad at Trajan, and I'm mad at the Pistons. That's really what I'm getting at. It's annoying to me that you have this going on, but you're not taking phone calls for Jalen Duren. Look, you're not going to get what you think you can for him, because people know that he's potentially willing to play on the qualifying offer. They can tell he wants out of Detroit. And if they can get him for, I don't know, maybe some picks or an underachieving player or someone that's over the hill, they will take it. Or maybe it becomes like an Andre Drummond trade where you're like, man, this is all we could get for this guy. Like that, I mean, it probably won't. Jalen Duren's much younger than that, but he had a poor playoff performance, and things are souring in Detroit, it seems like, with every report that we get. I'm having a hard time figuring out who I can trust when it comes to the reporting, because outside of Brian Windhorst, it's been pretty vague stuff from the people reporting on the Jalen Duren situation. And I don't know if I can actually trust their reporting or not. That's my big issue, because it's very vague. It'll be like, yeah, the two sides are negotiating, but Jalen Duren very well could be playing on this qualifying offer. And it doesn't even say like sources or anything. Like, it really blows my mind. Like, are people just tweeting this out and then basically just being very vague and, ambiguous, where they're like, I'm just going to say something in case this happens or in case that happens? I hate that level of reporting, quote unquote, from NBA wannabe media. Like, just, if you don't have sources, that's fine. Maybe just share your opinion. Maybe just don't share news that's been shared over and over and over again without telling us something new, because it's incredibly annoying. I can't stand it. Thanks for listening to the 3 Championship Drive podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe, follow, rate, review, but more importantly, tell a Pistons fan.